on your mind today?
So, Tom, the ruling yesterday is the first step in notching out a little special notch for Trump's immunity, and this is how it works. Okay, so our textualists on the court, our lovely right-wing textualists, just inserted text into the 14th Amendment, Section 3, saying that only Congress can impose this disability.
Right.
Okay, no.
Whereas the actual text says only Congress can remove the disability.
No. It only says Congress may remove this disability.
Exactly.
It doesn't say that only Congress can. That's the point. That's a really subtle point. It doesn't say that only Congress can remove the disability. It just says that Congress may remove this disability, right, which means that other powers might be able to remove the disability, such
like
as
court.
the state.
Or a state,
a court, possibly.
Sure.
But look at it this way. We're talking about powers like the states. So if we take their insertion of what they're really saying is that only Congress can impose the disability. It doesn't say, the amendment doesn't say who can impose the disability, right? It just says Congress can remove it.
Right.
Okay, but now they're saying only Congress can impose it.
Right.
Okay, do we presume that that's by the two-thirds majority, like it says to remove it? Or are they deferring to Section 5, which says Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article?
Right.
Because if they're saying by appropriate legislation, that means it requires it's a bill. It has to have a bill that gets signed by the president.
Right.
Okay, the other one doesn't. Congress can remove it by the two-thirds vote, a two-thirds majority in both houses.
Right,
so
which doesn't require the president's signature.
That's right. That's not that doesn't require. That's not legislation.
Yeah.
So let's look at it this way. This is how you can tell when something's a myth, like the way they prove in mathematics. The way you can prove or disprove something is assume it's true and then see what kind of inconsistencies you run into. Okay, so let's say Congress imposes this disability upon Trump. Are the states compelled to comply with it? In other words, do all the states have to remove Trump from the ballot? No, they don't. The states can run their elections and say, we're keeping him on. Okay, now here's how they get to the immunity. They're saying that Congress so far has not imposed the disability, and therefore January 6th is nothing more than legitimate political discourse. And you can't prosecute legitimate political discourse until Congress says it isn't political illegitimate.
Right.
And Congress hasn't done that. And so at this point, Donald Trump, it's just a matter of free speech until Congress says it's not. That's what they really set up.
Yeah. It's a good point, Paul.
That's what they're doing here. They're carving out a little notch without actually having to address the presidential powers and immunities. They're just carving out this little notch. What they did was they did what I said they should have been done, that this is a political question, and they should have done nothing. But what they did was they took powers out away from one of the powers, which is the states, and said, and they lay it all on Congress in language that doesn't exist in the 14th Amendment, saying only they can do it. And since they haven't really even said there is an insurrection, because Congress is so divided, they're not going to.
Right.
And neither, because Congress is so divided, neither would they be able to remove the disability if Colorado had imposed it,
right,
which they did. So they said, this is a political question which no one has acted on, and so there really was no insurrection. There was no foul because Congress never said there was.
Yeah. Good point. And let's keep in mind that the House of Representatives right now is being run by an insurrectionist. I mean, Mike Johnson was the guy who coordinated the 137 Republicans in the House of Representatives who voted who voted against Joe Biden to be president, to certify his win. So, yeah, excellent points, Paul. The Supreme Court essentially rewrote the Constitution, and America is the worse for it. Paul, thank you. 45 minutes past the hour. We'll be back with more of your calls in just a moment.